Okay, so maybe you visited St. Augustine and you decided like, hey, this is where I want to live. This is an awesome little city and I want to be a part of what's going on here. So you're looking to live around 15 minutes to downtown, looking to live 15 minutes to the beach, and everything that St. Augustine has to offer. Well, in this video, what I'm going to do is cover the new construction opportunities that you have available to you. We're also going to take a look at the flood zones and where you should live, where you should not live. And we're also going to take a look at some of my personal favorite neighborhoods. What's up, everyone? It's Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, Florida. And if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Northeastern Florida, make sure you reach out to me and my team. All we try to do is give you the information so that you can make an educated decision on what you want to do, which is buy, sell, or invest here in Northeastern Florida. So I've lived in St. Augustine the majority of my life, and I consider this place my hometown. I wasn't born here, but I consider this place home. This is where I was raised for the most part. Now, and with that, I do have a good bit of insight into the neighborhoods. I'm also a realtor, so that actually helps me figure out what neighborhood might be best for you and your certain situation. So if I'm not covering something here that you're interested in, just reach out to me directly. I'm not going to hound you with phone calls and emails. I'm not that way at all. Really, when you're ready to go, I'm ready to go. I'm not going to, call you every other day asking if you're ready to buy a house or sell your house. So the main point of this video is for people that are looking to live within an easy commute to downtown St. Augustine and the beach. St. Johns County is a big area. St. Augustine, the city, is going to be where the majority of like the nightlife, the historic area, and the entertainment district of St. Augustine is going to be around St. Augustine, the city, of course, the beaches as well. So if you're wanting to live in that pocket and live that type of lifestyle, it's completely different than the rest of St. Johns County. So like I said before, in this video, what I want to do is give you a high-level overview of the new construction opportunities that you might have available to you that are within a 15 to 20 minute drive of downtown and the beach. We're also going to take a look of the flood zones because that's one of the main concerns that I hear people voicing is like, hey, I want to live on the island, but I don't want to live in a flood zone. And is that possible? And it is, but in a very specific area. And then we're also going to talk about some of my favorite areas so that you can get a good idea of hey, I grew up here, I lived in a lot of these areas, I know what's going on here in town, and I'm going to give you specific reasons why I like each of these areas. Okay, so let's start off with new construction and just overview, why should you buy new construction right now? Well, if you're looking at a mortgage, new construction is going to be your best deal on the market, hands down. And that's because all of these builders are offering some type of incentive to get you through the door. We're not in the 2022 market where people could just say like, hey, I'm selling a house, and they'd have 20 offers. The best houses on the market that are move-in ready are still selling very quickly, but we have a whole bunch of inventory that's just sitting because it's not move-in ready, and it's not, if a buyer's gonna pay a 7% interest rate, they don't wanna have to come into a house and put an extra $20,000 or $30,000 into it. So those homes are sitting a lot longer. So the big benefit with new construction is that they're more than likely going to pay most, if not all, of your closing costs. And if you're looking at a $500,000 home, your closing costs are going to be somewhere between $15,000 and $17,000. That's outside of your down payment on the property. It's just to close on the loan, right? So the builder's going to pay for that. On top of that, they're also more than likely going to buy down your interest rate, which if you do the math on like a 5% interest rate versus a 7% interest rate, it's going to save you hundreds of dollars a month, but it's also going to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of a 30-year mortgage. Not to mention that the house is built to the newest code, it has all the bells and whistles that you're looking for in terms of modern housing. But all your appliances are going to have warranties on it straight from the manufacturer, including the AC units, the hot water heaters. All of those are going to have warranties from the manufacturer. So if something goes wrong, you more than likely call them up and they'll fix it. The house itself is also going to have warranties. Most of the builders around here are doing a 1 or 2 year bumper to bumper warranty, as they call it, or a material defect. So if a light switch stops working, you call up the warranty company, they come out and fix it. Every builder in the state of Florida does a 10-year structural warranty. So on the structure of the house itself, we're talking about the walls, we're talking about the foundation, we're talking about the trusses and the roof. If there's something wrong with that within the 10-year period, the builder will take care of it. Now, dealing with, side note, you're going to watch this video and reference it, of course, if you work with me. Dealing with a warranty company across any type of appliance or electronic or whatever is not exactly the easiest thing in the world. But at the end of the day, you do have that as a protection for you as a homeowner when you're going into new construction. So now what I want to do is go into some of the new construction neighborhoods. What we're going to do is look at the most affordable areas in terms of single family homes, and then I'm going to take you up to the luxury homes as well. And all of these are going to be within 15 to 20 minutes of the beach and downtown St. Augustine, if not a little closer than that. So what I first want to do is hop on a map, and I'm going to show you where what specific area we're talking about. And in general, if you're looking up on a map and you're at your computer, zip code 32080, zip code 32084, and zip code 32086 are going to be the main zip codes that we're talking about in this video. Where there'll be some overlap of other ones, but maybe, but these are going to be the majority of these zip codes that we're going to be looking at for these houses. So let's pull up the map. Okay, so this is the city of St. Augustine, located within St. Johns County. The main areas that we're going to talk about is going to be 32080, which is going to be the most of Anastasia Island, 32084, which is going to be more or less of this northern part of St. Augustine, and 32086, which is going to be the southern part of St. Augustine, just off of the island. These are the main areas where you're going to find the lifestyle of going to the beach within 15-20 minutes, going to the restaurants downtown within 15-20 minutes, and just having the overall lifestyle of living in a southern coastal town. And the first neighborhood that we want to talk about is going to be D.R. Horton and it's going to be Entrada by D.R. Horton, which is right off of State Road 207 here at the intersection of 95. You're going to find townhomes starting in there in the low 200s, really like 230 is where those townhomes are starting, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom townhomes. You're also going to find single family homes starting at 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, all the way up to 4 bedrooms and 2 baths. So the price ranges in there are probably going to be somewhere between the 350 and 500 range, more than likely going to be in the mid 4s, but you're going to get a brand new construction home minutes from downtown. And I think that's probably the biggest advantage. I put several families in this neighborhood, and I think it's fantastic. The location, what you get for it, what you're paying for. The location of downtown is pretty much unmatched because all you got to do is go right down here to 207 and then boom, you're in downtown St. Augustine. I think I clocked it before, and it is a 13-minute drive. And we'll just pull that up here real quick just so we can take a look at how far it is. So we'll do historic St. Augustine, and we'll just reference that for all the others. Now, of course, there's a little bit of traffic right now. It's a 16-minute drive, so forgive me on that. But aside from that, if you're looking to get to the beach as well, the closest beach is going to be St. Augustine Beach. Now, that's where the public parking is. There is also places where you can drive on the beach here as well. Oh, that's not the right one. We want to do the fishing pier. That's where the majority of the parking is going to be. That is an 18-minute drive just over the 312 bridge here. So it's really 2 turns and you're on the beach, which is pretty great. And also right now it's 4 o'clock, so we're at rush hour. It's going to be a little bit of traffic. So not too bad to get down here to the beach, but let's take a look at also what D.R. Horton has. Now, just to scroll through a couple of these photos real quick, I think this might be the Cali floor plan, one of my favorite floor plans that they offer. You're going to get rolled vinyl flooring. You're going to get quartz countertops throughout. Open floor plan. I think this is an 1,800 square foot plan. It's a gas community. The fridge is typically included. The washer dryer is typically not included. But nice slider that goes out to a 10 by 10 pad. They of course have it done up to show you what you could do if you wanted to. But all of them come with a 10 by 10 pad. They don't make any changes to that. But they do also have an amenity center here where they just built on an additional part of the amenities where they added a lap pool. They also added some pickleball courts, tennis ball courts. And I'll show you here. So it's kind of a zero entry pool as well, not from this angle, but down here it's a zero entry pool. They do also have a handicap access as well. They also have, a little hard to see probably, we might be able to get to it. They have a top lot here in the corner. They may not have even updated the photos for the new amenities. They also have a small gym in there. Not anything crazy, but it's got everything you need. And they also have a community room if you wanted to rent it out for a party or something like that. And they didn't update, oh, here we go, the lap pool. So they just added this lap pool here. It's more or less, when you go to the infinity pool, especially during the summer, there's going to be a lot of kids. Not as many kids are going to be hanging out in the lap pool. I guess they're not going to show yeah, here we go, pickleball courts, and they put a basketball court over here as well. So if you're looking to move to St. Augustine and you want the lifestyle of living in a coastal town, you want to be able to go to the beach all the time, you want to enjoy the historic downtown, but you want to be far enough away where you're not dealing with the traffic and the tourism and everything like that, this is a great location, especially if you're still working and you need to commute up to Jacksonville. You're right off of 95. I mean, 207 and 95, you're there in 2 minutes, right? Easily to get onto 95 and up to Jacksonville, probably take you like 30 to 35 minutes, maybe 40 depending on traffic. So this area is fantastic. I love this neighborhood. I think it's great. And in the coming years, I think it's going to be even better because there's not many new construction neighborhoods just like this one where you get the access to downtown, but you also have the amenities like many other communities in the northern part of St. Johns County, where these homes might go for $100,000 more. And with D.R. Horton, I know, especially when it comes down to veterans, they work with veterans a ton, pretty much pay for all their closing costs, and they'll give you a good rate, typically around 4.99%, maybe 5.5%. I have to double check their incentives, but there's always a rate buy down. They're always paying your closing costs. So let's take a look at their competitor, which is actually just north of them. It's called St. Augustine Lakes. I've got a couple families that I've put into there as well. They love it out there. It's pretty close to where I live. Both of these neighborhoods are pretty close to where I live. I'm not an HOA guy. I live outside of an HOA. I don't want to pay those extra fees a month, but I do have a baby on the way, so maybe that will change here in the future. I don't know. Let's take a look at St. Augustine Lakes, which is essentially D.R. Horton's immediate competitor in this neighborhood. Okay, so what I did is I just pulled up the main model that they have at Lennar at St. Augustine Lakes, and I just left it with St. Augustine Fishing Pier. Technically, the closest beach is going to be Villano Beach for St. Augustine Lakes. So it's going to be within 20 minutes to get there, even a little bit less. So they're going a little further north. You can drive and park around this part of, it's called Porpoise Point here in Villano Beach. And it's probably one of the best places to drive on the beach here in St. Augustine. Easy on, easy get off, and you have a whole bunch of great restaurants here in the southern end of Villano Beach. Aside from that, if you wanted to go to historic downtown, it's going to be about the same a commute as what the other location was here. So of D.R. Horton and Trotta. So you can see here, it's going to be about 15 minutes. I'd probably just come right down here through King Street and just hop right over here because most of the parking is either going to be on the parking garage over here or south of King Street here. So I live, you can see my little house. I live in this area right here. I just pop right over downtown. I'm within a 3-minute drive to downtown St. Augustine. I'm a 10-minute drive to the beach. So I love this area here if you're not interested in new construction, and I'll cover more about that later on in the video. So really to downtown St. Augustine, 295, they have a 4-mile road right here. You just hop on 4 Mile, you get on State Road 16. You'll get on 95. They are working on this intersection right here by the outlets, and it's been a mess for some time. It'll probably take you, let's say 10 minutes to get on 95 from here when it should take you 5. But that's, something that they're hopefully fixing here in the future, but who knows? So the one thing I will say with Lennar is they're selling a ton of homes in our area, and that's because what they did is they bought a package of loans back in the day where they're getting 4.99% interest rates. So they're able to give those out pretty easily to any FHA and VA buyers. If you're conventional, they're typically doing 5.5%, but I have seen them come lower on that just depending on the buyer itself. How much down payment are you doing? What's your credit look like? They sometimes can finagle that number a little bit and maybe even throw some more money to it to buy it down even further if you want to do that, opposed to putting more money down on your down payment. Either way, for their product, it's going to be a little bit different. Going to be kind of similar in amenities. You only have a small pool here. You're not going to have like the pickleball courts and the basketball courts. You're going to be a little tucked away. You're not going to be on a main road like D.R. Horton and Trotta is on 207. But the biggest thing is that everything is pretty much done. Like when you go into this, you're going to have the quartz countertops, but you're also going to have wood look tile. So it's going to be the higher end, when you're talking about rolled vinyl flooring versus wood look tile, most people are going to gravitate towards the wood look tile because it's just a lot more hardy, a lot more resistant, but it also looks nicer. It looks like wood, but you can tell it's tile with grout and everything throughout the entire home. I don't think they do the bedrooms at all. The bathrooms have the tile as well. So they do a lot of little things and they just bundle it all into the price. So that's one really good thing about Lennar. And a lot of people gravitate towards Lennar because when they look at the payment difference between what they get there, in terms of like the finished home and also your payment and the interest rate, they gravitate that way just because the payment on a 4.99 or a 5.5% interest rate is just that much better, especially when you're comparing that to resales at 7%. So that's a great little community. Let's take a quick look at their website here. Okay, they're offering monumental savings. That's fantastic. I love to see that. So this is St. Augustine Lakes. We're just going to scroll through this real quick. And I do have videos for all of these communities aside from Madeira, which I will get to Madeira eventually. I really need to do that neighborhood. Just so you can see what's going on here in St. Augustine Lakes. This is the Alexia 2, kind of how this one looks and how they have it styled. This is the exterior of it. But you can expect 3-bedroom, 2-bath, like very similar to D.R. Horton, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, single family, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. So they just have a couple different options here of what you can get. I'm trying to get to the pool here so you can see what that looks like. Probably clicked the wrong picture here. Okay, we'll get out of here. We'll just click on the pool. Okay, that didn't pull up either. Okay. Oh, maybe I passed it the first one. And this is really the only amenity to speak of is going to be, this swimming pool here. And then in total, the internet is also included, and I think that's fiber internet direct to your house. I want to say it's at least 1 gigabyte. So that's included in your HOA and CDD fees. So it's all pretty reasonable when you're looking at it. I think it comes out to about $220 a month to live in this community and have access to everything here. So if you take a look at the price range, you're going to be somewhere between $360 and $460. And this is something to mention, not across from D.R. Horton. This is the same in D.R. Horton, the same as any builder. If they have homes that are move-in ready, so you can see here, Lennar does a great job of having filters here. Move-in ready homes, these are the homes that get the best deals on them. So if you're talking about that interest rate, you're talking about that closing cost paid for, these are where you're going to get those, right? If they're past a certain point, they're trying to sell them and get them off their inventory. This is where you're going to find those numbers here. So definitely worth it to take a look here in Lennar, St. Augustine Lakes. I got one more for you before we head over to Madeira, where that's going to be more of like the luxury presence. But this is kind of middle of the road, which is going to be a KB Homes neighborhood. And the reason I like to highlight this neighborhood is because it's a little further from downtown St. Augustine, but you're closer to Crescent Beach, which in my opinion is the best beach in the area. And also the one thing where KB Homes and Madeira is going to separate from Lennar and D.R. Horton is that, especially in this neighborhood at Sable Estates, is that they're going to have a larger lot size. All of the lots in Sable Estates are 80-foot lots. So if you're looking at D.R. Horton or Lennar, which we just covered, all of those are going to be on 40 or 50-foot lots. So you're going to be pretty close to your neighbor, where if you're over in Sable Estates or if you're in Madeira, you're going to have much, much larger lot sizes. So let's take a look at Sable Estates. Okay, so I pulled up Sable Estates. You can see downtown St. Augustine's right here. You just go south on US 1 and you'll get into Sable Estates, which is a part of the master plan community of the St. Augustine Shores. Now, this I think has about 4,000 homes in it, but it's a much older community, whereas KB, as of right now, is the only one building new construction homes. So I think this general area it's going to start growing. Everything's been growing south of the northern part of St. Johns County, and I don't think this area is going to be any different. So if you see, we're only about 20 minutes to downtown St. Augustine. If we take a look at Crescent Beach, which is going to be the closest beach here, you're a 13-minute drive. There's a little parking lot right here, or you can drive right onto the beach, which this area I definitely recommend because it's a lot slower, not as much tourism out here, but it's going to be about 13 minutes from this location. Very easy, come out to your community, take a left, take a right, and you're on the beach. It's very, very quick. It's only 7.7 miles for you to get there. So KB Homes, as of right now, I've put 3 families into this neighborhood. So far, so good. Everyone likes it. The biggest attraction to them is that, hey, I can build a single family home in the mid 500s, get a 3-car garage, and have an 80 by 125 lot. This is one of my favorite neighborhoods. Me and my wife considered buying a home in here. Maybe we will in the future. I don't know yet. But for what you get, the bang for your buck here, I really like this selection here at KB Homes, because I think you get the middle of the road. You're not luxury, you're not at the very production level builder, the bottom, entry level starter home. You're right in the middle, and you also get a huge lot, and a 3-car garage is a big deal here. So having a 3rd-car garage is super important because our garage here is our storage. Not many people park in their garage here in Florida because it's filled with stuff. So that's why you should take a look at KB Homes at Sable Estates. Let's take a look at their website quick just so you can see. And I do also have a video on this one as well. All right, so we're taking a look here at Sable Estates. And the one thing I forgot to mention as well is that it's a part of the Shores community, and the Shores community has an optional HOA. Now everyone pays a $30 a month HOA, but that's really nothing when you're comparing your monthly payment to other communities. But if you wanted to have access to the clubhouse here, which is right on the intercoastal, they also have a fishing pier right off the intercoastal. That's about $350 a year for a family, which is not bad at all. And they just redid it with, I think, last year or the year before. So it's actually pretty nice now. So not bad at all for that price, for $350 a year. I think it's a steal. Aside from that, you do also have within the shores, the master plan community, you have disc golf course. You also have a public golf course within the shores. And then I already mentioned the fishing dock. You also have like, baseball fields, soccer field, and tennis courts as well. So within there, that's just, for me personally, I think it gives you more of a park-like setting for an HOA community that really isn't offered anymore because this community was developed so much longer ago. So just take a quick look at some of their houses here. So they just named their plans the square footage of the home. My favorite plan is going to be the 2148 right here. The kitchen in that is awesome, and I feature it in the video. I just really love it. I love how the layout is of the entire home. I have plenty of buyers that do this plan as well, the 2336, but they all everyone's added a 3-car garage just because it makes so much sense. They're only showing them with 2 right now, but all the lots there are able to do a 3-car garage. You don't have to if you don't want to, if you're building from scratch, but you can. So this is definitely one of my favorite neighborhoods within the area. And I think it's a solid choice if you're looking to do new construction. You want to live in St. Augustine. You want to have a little bit of land. You want to have that 3-car garage. Maybe you're a car guy. Maybe you like to work on cars. Maybe you like to just have extra space. Maybe you want to put a golf cart in there. Maybe you want, my buyer right now wants to put jet skis in there. So the one thing I'll say with this as well is every builder is doing some type of incentive. They are flexing a little bit more on this, but typically what I've seen is they're doing 4% of incentives, 4 to 5%, just depends, of the purchase price as your incentive. So if you're buying a $500,000 home, you're going to get $20,000 in incentive, maybe $25,000 in incentive. So still a great option, and you can use that to pay your closing costs. You can use that to buy down your rate, whichever makes more sense for you. Okay, so we covered D.R. Horton and Entrada, we covered St. Augustine Lakes, we covered KB Homes, Sable Estates. All of them have different things for different people. What we're going to take a look at now is going to be the higher end of the market, which is going to be the luxury section, which is going to be Madeira. And if you've ever heard of Palencia, which is another luxury neighborhood in our community, and just south of the Northeastern Florida Regional Airport as well, just north of downtown St. Augustine. So let's take a quick look at this. This has some of my favorite builders in the area. I mean, it's hard not to like some of these luxury builders, the way they do their floor plans, the way they do their finishes. Really just a great product. But let's take a look at it. Okay, so as I mentioned before, Madeira is just north of downtown St. Augustine. It's off of US 1 here, so the same road that Sable Estates is on, Madeira is on. It's just on the north part of St. Augustine. So you can see here, I already put in Volano Beach. This is the community here. To get to downtown is going to be about the same, but to get over to Volano Beach, you're looking at a 10 to 15, I mean, this says 13 minutes, but you're going up here north. You want to just park right here, it's going to take you 10 minutes. It's not going to take you long at all. Me and my wife normally get tacos. We'll either drive on or park right over here. There's a little parking lot, and then we'll walk the Porpoise Point area, which this is all a sandy beach here. It doesn't look like it on the video, but here, I'll pull up this layer here. But we watch sunset right here and get some tacos, just hang out for a little bit, and it's a beautiful sight. It really is, because you watch it go over the old city, you watch it go over the Shrine of Our Lady La Leche, which is a humongous cross in northern part of downtown St. Augustine. Now let's take a look at how far it is from Historic District in downtown St. Augustine. You go right down US 1, you're a 10-minute drive. So you can go right, this is right where the parking garage is over here. It's going to be pretty easy for you to go downtown from this location. But the good thing is with this neighborhood is that you're far enough away from downtown that the traffic and the tourism, especially around Night of Lights, you should have little to no effect on your driving and getting around and doing what you need to do, as long as you're avoiding this downtown corridor. So I think that's one of the bigger things about living in St. Augustine is trying to avoid the mess of the tourism, and all the communities we covered just now offer that. So let's take a look at just the quick website here. So this is Madeira. They make it look like it's beachside, or if it's in downtown St. Augustine. It's not, but I mean, you're only a 10 to 15 minute drive from all of those locations. So the thing that they hang their hat on is that there's nature and space. And like we talked about before, when you're going into D.R. Horton and Entrada, you're looking at St. Augustine Lakes by Lennar. You're not getting the space. It's going to be a lot tighter, right? So if you're in the Sable Estates, you're going to get the 80-foot lots. Over here, you're probably going to get a minimum 70-foot lot to 80-foot lot. And they really don't go higher than that. Sometimes, depending on the parcel, they can. But the one thing that you do get in here are some of the best builders in the country. And that's geared towards the luxury end buyer. So let's scroll down here. Oh, this is a map of the community, US 1 being right down here. They already sold out the first section of Madeira. They got the second section going right here. Then they have the marshes of Madeira. So if you want to back up and look at the intercoastal waterway, you can definitely do that over here. And then they have future development up here, which has not been opened just yet. So we scroll down to the builders. They have Arthur Ruttenberg Homes, new homes from $1 million. They have Toll Brothers starting at $1 million. Dosty Homes, which is a local builder here, and they build some incredible houses. They built a Nocatee, and they have probably my favorite floor plan in there. I have a video of that as well on my channel if you look at my playlist. And then also Mastercraft, which is a local builder here. They only build in St. Johns County, and Mastercraft it was rated in 2023 the #1 builder in the entire state of Florida, and they only build here in St. Johns County. I also interviewed Chris Shee, who is the owner of, him and his brother are the owners of Mastercraft. I interviewed him several years ago, and really nice guy, does a lot for the community. And anytime there's been an issue with one of his homes, I mean, it's very simple. They just come out and fix it. Like they're very much customer service based. And he says in the interview, he's like, I want people to be happy. And if there's something that we messed up, we're coming to fix it. Like there's really no question about it. So that's something that, especially when you're building a home, you want to have someone who stands by their product. With that being said, they did just sell Mastercraft to Perry Homes. So if you're familiar with Perry Homes, I think they're based out of Texas, but once again, I think they're also aligned in that same vision. And from what I heard, he was very selective of who he's going to sell his company to. Now, typically when you're getting into the luxury end of the builders, we don't see as many incentives as like rate buy downs as we would for the production level builders that are building in the 350 to 500 range. And that's probably because most of the people in that luxury area, they're not really affected by interest rate as much, because more than likely they're buying it cash, which is kind of crazy to say. They're going to buy $1 million to $2 million house in cash. So what they tend to do is they tend to give more incentives and like, hey, you want to use $50,000 towards the design center to design your home. I know Mastercraft for a while was like, hey, we'll give you a $50,000 incentive to a pool. So if you want to build a pool along with your house, which saves you a whole bunch of hassle, by the way, because you can just do it all at one time opposed to building your house, closing on it, and then tearing up your yard to put a new pool in. That's also a great incentive. Now it's a smaller pool, and of course, you want a bigger pool. They're at least giving you a little bit of something. So you don't see too much negotiations when it comes down to rate and closing costs, but we are seeing incentives in terms of price, and also like, hey, do you want to add a pool? Do you want to have $50,000 at the design center so you can pick a lot of your finishes and go overboard? That's what we're seeing in the luxury section. Okay, guys, and I just covered a lot of information there, and we're going to cover some more here, but what I want to do is take a look at flood zones, and the easiest thing you can do is go onto FEMA Flood Maps. If there's a property that you're interested in, you can reach out to me and I'll figure it out for you, but it'll take you 2 seconds as well. You go into FEMA Flood Maps, you put in the address on their maps, and it'll pull up the flood zone. And what we're going to do is just take a quick look at this so I can kind of show you, I'll show you the areas that we just covered, but I'll also show you a couple of things that will leave a question for me or an insurance carrier that'll help you determine, is this in a flood zone, is it not in a flood zone? That being said, everything in the state of Florida is in Flood Zone X. Flood Zone X is where you want to be, though. That's like the lowest risk of flooding. They say like 100 or 99-year flood if that were to happen. So you're not required to have flood insurance in Flood Zone X. Every other flood zone outside of Flood Zone X, you're required to have flood insurance if you don't own the home straight out. If you buy the home in cash, you self-insure it, you do what you want. But if you're getting a mortgage, you're going to have flood insurance. So let's take a look at the FEMA flood map just to get a good idea. Okay, so since we're already on it, I did pull up the address of Madeira, and because I was really interested about this, because this is right on the intercoastal. You can see that many of this is already sitting in flood zone AE, and this is a perfect case study of, I can find out most information, but there's some things where I have to reference an insurance agent just to make sure that I'm telling you the right information. So what you can see here is that in the first development of Madeira, which we covered, which is all here, so this is all sold out. You can see this is shaded orange. Now typically that would indicate that it's in a flood zone and you're going to be required to have flood insurance. But then you see, and The map doesn't exactly work 100% the way you want it to, doesn't load the way you want it to. But typically you'll see St. Johns County unincorporated areas or City of St. Augustine within those areas opposed to a notification of Zone AE, right? So what that means is that, and this happens in a lot of new construction neighborhoods, is the builder, whenever they start developing the neighborhood, they dig up retention ponds and they raise all of the homesteads, the streets, everything above flood zone X. Now, is every home going to be included in that? Probably not, especially when you're going to be on the marshes. But is it possible? 100% yes. Now, how they get you to be out of the flood zone is because they build these retention ponds. That's where all the stormwater drainage goes in. They effectively raise up everything around it. All the buildings are higher and they raise it out of the flood zone. And then they apply for a LOMAR, which is a letter of map asset relocation, which essentially is just saying like, hey, give me the letter that says that we're not in the flood zone anymore. So I imagine, and I'd have to double check with my insurance carrier, that this whole area shaded in orange is not in a flood zone. The other areas haven't had that LOMAR applied for yet, but I imagine that that is coming as well. Once again, if you're interested in this neighborhood, just reach out to me directly and we can figure it out. Back to the map. Okay, so we covered Madeira. We're going to zoom out here, and this is the head of Anastasia Island, Davis Shores. And sometimes this map cooperates, sometimes it doesn't. We'll see. So when you're taking a look at downtown St. Augustine here, so this is the Lions Bridge right here. This is Davis Shores over here. This is West Augustine over here. So you can see pretty much all of downtown St. Augustine minus this strip here. This is MLK. It used to be known as Central, I think Central Street or Central Avenue. This is the highest point of downtown St. Augustine. This area typically does not flood. Also dignified with that City of St. Augustine. So pretty sure this is flood zone X as well, but the rest of the area sits in flood zone AE. Now, if you're looking at West Augustine, which is just over the intercoastal here, you can see that most of this is in flood zone X. You don't have that same worry. You aren't required to have flood insurance. And that's where we're going to see essentially where you have State Road 16. Very hard to tell on this map here. But State Road 16 goes out here to 95. St. Augustine Lakes is going to be right in here. Once again, also in flood zone X. And then you're going to have DR Horton and Trotta right over here, once again in flood zone X. Now, if we were to go down to Sable Estates, that is going to be, Sable Estates is going to be right over here. Once again, it is in flood zone X. Now, the flood zone isn't loading over here, but the flood zone does start right over here somewhere. But in this area here, you're protected. So the last place I want to take a look at is going to be Anastasia Island. So you can see that there's a whole bunch of different stuff going on here. Just to get your bearings, this is 312, this is US 1 here. But you can see the City of St. Augustine beach designation as well. That could also be flood zone X, depending where you're at. Hard to tell, but the other areas that are not shaded are flood zone X, without a doubt. So there's plenty of options on the island, and of course the color goes away there, where you can live in flood zone X, but you just need to know the distinctions between the shaded areas. And what does City of St. Augustine Beach mean? What does the St. Johns County unincorporated area mean? All of this stuff, what we would do is like, okay, you're interested in 123 Main Street on St. Augustine Beach. I send that to my insurance carrier and I say, hey, is this in a flood zone? And those guys are going to want to know, and they're going to know because they have a separate service that will tell them if it's in a flood zone or not. And from that point, they'll be like, hey, you're good. No, sorry, you're in flood zone AE. Your insurance is going to be X. Now, when it comes down to how much your insurance is going to cost, there's a variety of factors in it, but the main things are going to be the elevation of your particular home outside of the flood zone, right? So how high is your home actually sitting? And then the age of your home. Those are going to be the two main driving factors of how expensive, if you are in a flood zone, your flood insurance is going to be. Okay, so we covered new construction neighborhoods, we covered some flood zones, some of the things that you need to know about. But what I want to do now is cover some of the neighborhoods that I personally love, and I've also helped other families move into them because they love them as well. And all of these, for the most part, is going to fit my buyer profile, right? Where I'm not looking to be in a flood zone, I'm looking for appreciation. And I'm looking to love where I live. And I'm going to cover a couple of these neighborhoods. And all of these, once again, are going to be within 15 to 20 minutes of downtown St. Augustine and the beach. Because for me personally, that's the lifestyle that I want. I want to be able to quickly access downtown, go see a live band, get a drink, go have go have a nice meal. And then I also want to have quick access to the beach as well, because that's part of living here, right? And having access to the intercoastal, if you want to hop on a kayak, you want to do some fishing, you want to get on a boat, very easy to do here in the area. So filling that buy box, we're going to cover a couple of neighborhoods here. All of these neighborhoods I do have on a playlist on my channel. So if you want to scroll through a whole bunch of neighborhoods in St. Johns County and in St. Augustine, just search the area that I'm talking about. I can only add so many cards above me according to YouTube's algorithm or whatever. So the playlist is going to be the main thing to check out. Well, I'm going to hop on the map. We're just going to scroll over St. Augustine. I'm going to tell you some of the areas that I like and why I would want to live there. Okay, so once again, we're hovering here over St. Augustine. This is St. Augustine Beach over here, Volano Beach, just to get your bearings. And this is West Augustine. So just to cover what the new construction, St. Augustine Lakes is right here. D.R. Horton by Entrada, or Entrada by D.R. Horton is right here. Sable Estates is just south here by the Google mark, and then Madeira is just north here. And these are the neighborhoods that I would be interested in, and I'm still interested in buying in. And the first one we're going to start out with is the one I grew up in this area. So I grew up here in St. Augustine Beach. I love this area. I love the access of like riding a bike, going to the amphitheater here. I went to school right at R.B. Hunt down here, so elementary school is right there. You have the beach right here, which are some of the best beaches, a whole bunch of good restaurants around here. It's just a great place for me to grow up. I loved it. The only difference is that like, hey, I'm 33. I want to make sure that my financial future is safe. And at the moment, I don't have a ton of money and I don't want, well, I'm doing okay, but I don't want to spend a ton of money on my housing as of yet. This might be several years down the line, maybe when my kids are a little older. Either way, Anastasia Island and St. Augustine Beach is a prime place to live. If you're looking for a slower beach town, you're looking for access to everything that a coastal city would offer, entertainment, nightlife, good music, good drinks, good food, beautiful beaches. St. Augustine Beach really does have it all. Now, one of the negatives, as we covered earlier, is that there are going to be areas where you're going to be sitting in a flood zone, and that's just part of living in a coastal area, right? So I do think here in St. Augustine Beach, we're going to keep seeing appreciation. It seems that our area is going to be garnered more towards a luxury clientele, and I think St. Augustine Beach is going to have majority of those people moving there. Now, I bought a home over here in West Augustine. With the affordability here in St. Augustine pretty much going through the roof, this is pretty much one of the only affordable areas to buy a home. Also, your location to downtown. I mean, I regularly go on runs. I can run right through the historic area of downtown. Takes me, 10 minutes to get down there while I'm running. Takes me 20 minutes to walk. So I love the location here. The neighborhood seems to be turning a good bit. It seems like a whole bunch of builders are pretty much every corner in this neighborhood. There's a new construction builder building something, which is why I chose this neighborhood to buy a house. But I like the little neighborhoods that they have here. You also have the Solomon Calhoun Center just over here, which is like a pool. I played Little League Baseball just here off of 207 as well. There's a lot of options here that make it an attractive place to live, but just being 5 minutes to downtown, I'm 10 minutes to the St. Augustine Amphitheater, and I'm 15 minutes to the beach. Location's great, and you also have affordability. And with how prices have gone with the housing market this past couple years, I don't really see it getting much cheaper than it is already. Okay, let's move a little further south. We have St. Augustine South here. Once again, I'm a no HOA guy, guys, so like this is majority of my stuff is going to be no HOAs. You have St. Augustine South here. Beautiful neighborhood. Most of the homes sit in here between a tenth and a quarter of an acre. There is like a handful of new construction. Most of this stuff was built after 1950. Majority of it's going to be in like 1970s and 1980s. So you're going to see a lot of single family rancher homes here. It is a septic community, so that's either a plus or minus for a lot of people. But you also have 2 public boat ramps in the community that are maintained by the county. So it's a no HOA community, doesn't cost you anything, but you have 2 public boat ramps here that get you access to the intercoastal, and they have 4 miles of intercoastal. So if you want to just walk the intercoastal, you can do that within this neighborhood. And you're, once again, 10 minutes to downtown, 10 minutes to the beach, 10 minutes to the amphitheater. So the location's fantastic. Me and my wife put several offers in this neighborhood we were looking to, build equity. So we were looking at fixer-uppers, but not so much that you need to buy them with cash. So you can still get a mortgage on it. And we were getting beat out by cash left and right. Very frustrating, but that neighborhood is a no HOA neighborhood that is highly desirable in this area. And I desired it. I just kept losing, so I got tired of it. I went to West Augustine. Okay, so we talked about the shores and that why, you know, I already said earlier that I would definitely buy a house over here just because of the bang for your buck of what you get, the amenities here. This is like a park-like area. You have the golf course here. You have Canopy Shores Park here. You have the fishing pier. You have the amenity center right on the intercoastal. Whole bunch of good stuff here. But aside from that neighborhood, there's also where my grandma lives, which is Treasure Beach over here. So my grandma lives right here on Salado Road. This is like really the only intercoastal community within St. Augustine. And when I was a kid, this whole area was double wide trailers. My grandma's house is a double wide trailer that sits on the intercoastal. Across from her on the mainland is a protected bird preserve, so it can never be built. It's Moses Creek Conservatory. Can never be touched, but she has a boat dock. That's where I keep my boat, actually. It's pretty great, just to leave it right there and drop it in and out of the water when I want. She's got a, it's a dredged area, so she can just get right out whenever you need to. She doesn't, I do. But the location there and the potential for that neighborhood, I think, is going to be massive. As you go through there, you're seeing people that are ripping out the double wide trailers and they're putting multi-million-dollar houses in that neighborhood. And you have canal access. And if you're looking for that lifestyle, you're right in Crescent Beach, which is my favorite beach, but you also have the access to go boating as well. So, or if you want to go, kayaking or fishing, you can do that right off your dock. So that neighborhood there, I think there's a ton of opportunity for appreciation of your home, but also just like getting the lifestyle that you're looking for here in Florida. Okay guys, and that is it. We covered a ton of stuff in this video, and it was probably a long one. If you stuck through the entire video, you're really learning something about St. Augustine, and I hope you did learn a little bit. If you have any more questions about moving to St. Augustine, moving to St. Johns County in general, make sure you reach out to me and my team. All we try to do is give you the information so that you can make an educated decision on what you want to do, which is buy, sell, or invest in real estate here in St. Augustine, just like we did in this video, right guys? Until next time, if you have any questions, my contact information is in the details or it's in the comments below. See ya.